A breakthrough for scientists after they had a 20-NU conversation with a humpback whale. Greater than. Beneath the surface of the ocean, an intricate system of clicks and signals has been echoing for generations. These sounds belong to whales, animals with brains far larger than our own. Now, using advanced artificial intelligence, scientists are decoding these signals with unprecedented precision. What they've discovered is not what anyone expected. Greater than. This is a little how their conversation went. Greater than. What scientists are uncovering is changing how we understand communication between intelligent life on Earth. For centuries, the ocean remained a mystery, vast, silent, and unreachable. Sailors returned from long voyages with stories of strange creatures and haunting whale calls echoing through the deep. The call of the deep. In the 1970s, the world opened its eyes and entered a new wave of environmental awakening. It was there and then that a quiet discovery would change everything. Scientists who had been studying marine life for ages took an interest in humpback whales and soon set out to sea to record the vocalizations of these whales. And what they found was astonishing. The moans and groans of these animals weren't just random. They were intricate sounds that evolved over time, lasting several hours. The recordings were saved and then compiled into an album called Songs of the Humpback Whale. This scientific documentation was the start of what would get the attention of the public and also tickle the imagination of many. This one album helped take off a global movement that saved these magnificent creatures from the brink of extinction. As scientists went further into bioacoustics, which is the study of animal sounds, they were left with more questions than answers. Early researchers in the field used basic recording tools and spent hours carefully listening and analyzing, all in an effort to understand how whales communicate. They couldn't quite place what the sounds were. There were theories of the whale songs being a simple mating call, a call for help in times of danger, or just a form of communication. No one truly knew. For decades, we could only guess, held back by the sheer volume of data and the limits of our own senses. All we could hear were the sounds, but we didn't have the tools to understand them. And this is where a guy named Dr. David Gruber came in with a bright idea. Dr. David Gruber, an American marine biologist and National Geographic researcher, believed that to understand whales, we didn't need the old tools used back then, but something new and technologically advanced. He looked to a different field for inspiration, one that was far from the sea but focused on space, called the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI. The idea behind SETI is to listen for signals from space in hopes of one day hearing a message from another civilization. Dr. Gruber thought, what if we've been looking for alien life in all the wrong places? He believed an alien intelligence could be right here on our own planet in the form of a whale, the humpback whale. This crazy, almost sci-fi-like notion was the beginning of Project SETI, which means the Citation Translation Initiative. Not only did Dr. Gruber bring this insane idea to life, but he also brought together an extraordinary team consisting of marine biologists, computer scientists, linguists, and roboticists, all joined by a shared vision. Their aim wasn't just to document sounds. They were planning to do the impossible. Their plan was to create a two-way dialogue with another species. How was this group of people planning to listen to voices from a world so different from ours? To truly connect with whales, they needed more than just ears. They needed a way in the dream team. The team Dr. David Gruber assembled for Project CI was different from any scientific group you've ever encountered. It brought together sharp minds from many disciplines who at first glance might not appear closely connected, but were all driven by the same bold mission to unlock the mystery of whale communication. This unusual partnership was precisely what the project required. Decoding whale voices was an extremely complex challenge that no single field could solve alone. It's unsurprising that these selected specialists, leaders in their respective areas, were chosen. This teamwork became the driving force of Project CI, leading to something remarkable. At the core of the project were individuals who had spent much of their lives in the ocean alongside these animals. One such person was Shane Jarrow, a marine biologist who devoted more than 10 years to studying one family of sperm whales near the Caribbean island of Dominica. For him, this was far more than a career. His commitment matched his deep affection for these extraordinary creatures. He even recognized the whales individually and followed them as they grew. This extended close-up fieldwork formed the foundation of Project CI. He was an invaluable member of the team. Who could understand whales better than Shane? Beyond Shane Jarrow's role, Another key contribution absent from earlier research was natural language processing powered by AI. This is where what once felt impossible began to resemble a technological wonder. Before Project CI existed, translating whale communication was only a dream due to technological limits. Yet a significant breakthrough was approaching, not only in marine science, but also in technology. Around 2019, the team realized they finally possessed the tools to create an underwater recording studio. This studio would be the first capable of making sperm whale language translation achievable. Like the idea of reaching the moon, this realization sparked the project and made the impossible suddenly seem attainable. The island of Dominica became the center of the initiative. It offered ideal conditions with volcanic terrain and ocean depths that plunged sharply just offshore. This geography allows sperm whales to approach land closely, making them easier to observe than in most locations. Additionally, the island supports a stable, thriving whale population, with many of the same families returning annually. It was also where Shane Garrow's long-term research first began. With this new opportunity, Project City officially began in 2020. The effort gained major support from the TED Audacious Project, which awarded $33 million to launch it. This funding enabled rapid expansion and allowed the team to start their first major objective, building what they described as a 20 kilometers by 20 kilometers underwater listening and recording studio off Dominica's coast. This system would let AI not only hear the whales but also identify who was communicating with whom and in what social context. This was the critical technological bridge needed to move from listening to real understanding. The field researchers and technology specialists collaborated in a completely new way. Biologists supplied deep insight and context, while computer scientists delivered the tools to process the information. They worked side by side in close cooperation. Field observations shaped the technology, and the technology revealed new insights. This partnership was Project City's greatest advantage, enabling them to approach the challenge from every direction. What set them apart from earlier attempts to interpret animal language was their unified cross-disciplinary approach. With this extraordinary team assembled, they were prepared to face the next major challenge. How do you record deep ocean sound without putting a microphone on a whale? The team had a daring response to that question. The oceans and the working technology. The central tool and key part of the strategy that brought everything together was the sensors. These sensors were created and deployed as networks of hydrophones, which is simply a technical term for underwater microphones. They were positioned on the seabed and performed the same role as a regular microphone, only far more powerful. They didn't just amplify the sounds made by these animals. They also acted as listening hubs arranged in a grid pattern to continuously record everything day and night. It functioned like a room lined with microphones on every wall, able to capture any sound at any moment, even something as tiny as a pin falling. The hydrophones worked the same way, and the Project CD team deployed them on a massive scale, allowing them to detect exactly where any underwater sound originated. Using this hydrophone network, they could locate a whale's clicks and determine which specific whale produced each sound. This completely changed the game for the mission. Hearing a whale wasn't enough. They also had to know which whale was speaking. To gain an even sharper understanding, the team came up with another smart solution: deploying a robotic fleet. Since convincing a whale to wear a microphone wasn't an option, they instead used autonomous drones and robotic systems to approach the whales. These machines were built to attach non-invasive suction cup tags to the whales' backs. The tags were loaded with sensors that not only captured sound, but also tracked the whale's movements at any depth, monitored heart rate, and recorded social interactions with other whales. This added another critical layer of data needed to interpret what the whale's sounds truly meant. The hydrophone system revealed what was said and by whom, while the tags provided context, showing whether a sound was made during hunting or while socializing with family. This behavioral information gave the AI the essential clues it needed to understand the purpose behind the clicks. All of this technology was dedicated to gathering an extraordinary volume of data for the research. The contrast between modern studies and research conducted more than 40 years ago is dramatic. Earlier efforts may have recorded only a few hours or days of whale sounds, while Project City was capturing millions, even billions of vocalizations. In doing so, they were creating the largest whale sound library ever assembled by humans. This massive scale was crucial because AI systems, particularly machine learning models, require enormous datasets to uncover meaningful patterns. They learn through examples, and the more examples available, the more intelligent they become. This is what set Project CI apart from earlier attempts which focused on identifying just a handful of key phrases, unlike modern approaches aimed at recording an entire language. The data poured in as a non-stop stream of clicks, whistles, and songs from the deep ocean. But by itself, it was only noise. It was raw, unprocessed information, a vast sea of data waiting to be interpreted. The microphones and sensors had captured the sounds, and the tags had gathered the details, but the language itself was still unknown. Everything pointed toward one final critical step. The true breakthrough occurred when this ocean of sound was fed into machine learning models, turning meaningless noise into the fundamental pieces of a language. The AI breakthrough. To human ears, a confusing mix of clicks, grunts, whistles, and waves. Finding clear patterns within that chaos feels almost impossible. The first major challenge for the Project CCTI team was transforming all the raw audio they gathered into something an AI could actually understand. To achieve this, they used a method that converts sound into images called spectrograms. Using this approach, basic ocean sound waves were turned into visual charts. This made it possible to observe and analyze the massive amount of data they had collected. Through this process, the AI could literally see whale sounds. The AI's first assignment was to scan these images and identify codas, the specific click sequences sperm whales use to communicate while filtering out background noise. This early step of turning invisible sound into visible patterns was essential. This is where machine learning showed its strength, acting like a modern Rosetta Stone. The team then advanced further by applying sophisticated AI tools, including deep learning and neural networks. These systems were chosen because they learned similarly to humans by spotting patterns across vast amounts of data. In this case, the AI wasn't taught fixed rules about whale communication. Instead, it was trained using millions of whale codas, the short sound bursts whales used to communicate. By analyzing them, the system gradually began discovering patterns on its own. Over time, it started recognizing which sounds commonly appear together, how they shifted across situations, and what they could represent. Much like humans learn languages through listening and observation, eventually the technology began detecting extremely subtle differences in clicks that humans could never hear. The AI noticed fine changes in rhythm, tempo, and structure that the human brain simply can't process. Much like how a toddler learns to speak, the computer followed a similar path, only far faster and with access to data no human could analyze in a lifetime. The enormous scale of the data set, made up of millions of vocalizations recorded over years, gave the AI its true strength. Without this volume of data, the AI would have been just as limited as a human researcher. With this powerful technology and relentless AI analysis, the team reached a core discovery about sperm whale language. And unsurprisingly, it was more complex than anyone expected. These sounds weren't just simple signals. After extensive data analysis, researchers discovered whales use a complex system similar to a phonetic alphabet. While whales don't use letters, they rely on variables like rhythm, tempo, and what scientists call ornamentation, which includes extra clicks at the start or end of a cod. Different combinations of these elements create an astonishing number of unique words or messages. For instance, a slow, steady rhythm might convey one meaning, while speeding it up or adding an extra click could completely change the message. This finding shattered the long-standing belief that only humans possess complex structured language systems. It proved whales also use a system with multiple components that can be rearranged to form a rich vocabulary. This was the breakthrough everyone hoped for. For the first time, humans glimpsed the true syntax of whale communication. We could identify the building blocks of their language. Yet we still didn't know what they meant. What were whales actually saying? That question marked the point where everything became even more fascinating. Unveiling the whale's world-view. For a long time, scientists assumed that if whales possessed a language, it would be simple and straightforward. After years of study and observation, they expected a limited set of commands or a language focused purely on survival. What the AI uncovered, however, was far more surprising and captivating. The patterns identified by the system were not linked to basic actions, but to social context. This was the turning point, the moment researchers realized many earlier assumptions were incorrect. Whales weren't making sounds only out of necessity. They were communicating in complex and sometimes deeply personal ways that reflected relationships and social bonds. It felt less like cracking a code and more like listening in on an ongoing conversation. As the AI continued to examine the data, it revealed an even deeper layer of complexity. The team discovered that within the clicks were subtle variations that worked much like vowels in human speech. They found that whales use an advanced system known as rubato involving delicate shifts in rhythm. There were also incredibly slight changes in the timing of clicks within a cod, the basic unit of whale communication. Scientists learned that a cod might follow a set rhythm and that even a tiny pause or a slight increase in speed could completely alter its meaning. In addition, ornamentation played a vital role in shaping different messages. It was as though basic words were being modified to express varied emotions or intentions. This pointed to a level of linguistic complexity that strongly challenged the belief that advanced communication belongs only to humans. The AI also revealed that this language was closely tied to social identity. Research showed that different whale clans or families use distinct dialects to identify themselves. Much like human accents vary by region, whale families have unique speaking styles. When analyzing the clicks, the AI could tell which family was communicating simply by recognizing subtle differences in their patterns. This showed that the language wasn't a single universal system shared by all sperm whales. Instead, it was a living, evolving part of their culture passed from one generation to the next. A single word could take on multiple meanings depending on rhythm, context, and the dialect used. With the help of AI and advanced tools, scientists have not only mapped the structure of whale language, but have also opened a window into a hidden culture. By decoding these communication patterns, researchers can now better understand the whale's social ties, identities, and shared histories. So what do you think about this revolutionary research? Do you believe communicating with whales is a major step forward for humanity, or do you have concerns about what it could lead to? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell on our channel so you never miss an upload. If you like this video, click the next video on your screen to watch more content like this.